All right, recording. And we are in COVID land, Zoom land, which means you might be hearing my dogs or my children in the background at any moment. So I hope you allow some grace for me during the process as well. All right, I am Abby Vick. I'm one of the directors of Nexus. Cassie Zachman is on here as well as a panelist, and you can also see Nicole, who's on the coaches committee. If you're on Zoom, and I think even if you're watching from your phone, you should be able to see the chat, which I've typed in a couple times. And there's also a Q&A section. I think you can also raise your hand or request to be off mute. So there's lots of options if you have questions. We're going to go through the PowerPoint, give you some information just like we do every year so you can know what to anticipate for this year as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. Nicole and Cassie are going to help me keep track of them so we can try to answer as many questions as possible. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. We are so excited about the season. We're so happy to see your girls back in person, get some normalcy back to our lives a little bit, as much as we can, right? And we're really thrilled to be able to offer more programming this year. So thanks so much for coming tonight and getting some information. Anyone that missed out, of course, they can see the recording that I'll post on our website. They can contact me directly, any of those things, okay? All right, I will go ahead and get going. All right, so for those of you, I know I recognize a lot of the names on the call, so this is going to be a review for everyone, right? But I want to start on a baseline of, if you're looking for clubs, if you're looking around this year, it's so hard for us to interact with the families because we're trying to keep as few people in the gym as possible. And we can go through all those explanations in a little bit. But the biggest thing that I really miss when we're hosting these events is we're not there to answer a lot of your questions face to face and get your questions about why would you be at Nexus versus a different club and what's the benefit of being at Nexus and all those things. So I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of refresh everybody and remind like how Nexus can be different as an option from other clubs that are in the area. So number one, right? Nexus is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, and we started Nexus that way because we believe girls at any skill level should have a high level of personalized coaching. So every girl, no matter what level they come in, they're going to get one-on-one attention from their coaches. Along with that, the coaches will work with each athlete to create a goal. So each team, this might look a little bit different. There might be journals on certain teams. They might be kept by the coaches specifically. It might be around stats, but each girl will have a goal that they're working on for the year. We have a coaches committee. So this is definitely how we're different from other clubs. Nicole and Lance and I are on the coaches committee. And part of our job is to make sure that all of our coaches are learning and they're growing and they're inside of a mentorship style process. So we're watching practices as we can. Again, we're adjusting around COVID and although we have to think about that. But we're making sure that, especially with new coaches coming in, there's a consistent message across all of our teams. We're growing and developing our coaches. We're not just assigning a team and good luck and see you in a couple weeks. We really want to make sure that every coach is learning and growing in their process so that our girls all get better, right? Part of why we are a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, is because we want to have girls who are unable to pay for club and afford the full price, because we know it's a commitment for you to decide to come to Nexus or to decide to play club at all. That there are sponsorship opportunities, fundraising opportunities, payment plans, things like that. And we just found as a nonprofit, we're able to do that more effectively and more efficiently. So if that's ever something that's a concern, if money is ever a reason that you or someone you know cannot have your daughter play volleyball or commit to a club season, please talk to us before you fully make that decision. Because we are doing scholarship programming, sponsorships, all those things this year as well. The last thing that we do differently, which has worked out really successfully, I'm very proud of how this has worked over the past couple of years, is we do mid-year and end-of-year surveys for everyone in the club. So last year we were cut a little short, so it didn't work out as planned. But in previous years, we've done a mid-year survey, usually around March, where we check in with all of our families and we see how the season's going, how you're enjoying your coaches, how you're enjoying the tournaments. And we really use that feedback. We evaluate that feedback and we come back to our coaches with improvement plans and evaluation plans. And we come back to our next season and we say, are these even the right tournaments that we're going to? Can we make any adjustments as a leadership team for Club Nexus? So I'm very proud of that. We have made several changes because of suggestions we've received from surveys, and we really think that's an effective way to make sure that you're all staying engaged with us. Okay, so I cannot believe it's already upon us. The open evaluations and tryouts, they are here. We are ready to go. We are so excited to see everyone come out. So I did want to show you just for a second. I'm going to escape out of this and try to show you on the website. And I need to share my screen. I just wanted to show you because we are using League Apps this year, and we really, really like this software. I think it's going to make it really efficient and effective. But of course, with any new software, there's a little bit of a learning curve. And we've been trying it out all summer so that we can be as effective as possible and help you learn the system. So if you go to Nexus Youth Sports, which is our normal website, .leagueapps.com, and you just put in those three phrases, nexusyouthsports.leagueapps.com, you'll see this logo, you'll see home, camps, classes, and locations. So this is where we're currently housing where our registrations are for the open evaluations and the tryouts. So they have really specific categories for how we can label everything inside. Excuse me, click that button wrong. How they label everything inside the program. So this is what's stumping people, and these are the questions I'm already getting. If you click on classes, that's where we've been hosting like the open gyms and the clinics and the small groups throughout the summer. And now that we're into tryout season, this is where we're having our open evaluations. So open evaluations are under classes. So if you go and scroll down here, you'll see that we're dividing them by age group. So we are requesting that you are registering your child under the correct age group. And of course, if you need any help with that, please let us know. But please remember that they did adjust, and I'll remind you a little bit later in the PowerPoint too, that they did adjust the age bracket for this year. So in previous years, it was always September 1st. It's been that way since I played club like 15 years ago. It's been September 1st. This year, they updated it to July 1st. So if your daughter, however old your daughter will turn before July 1st, even if it's June 30th is their birthday, technically whatever age it is that they turn before July 1st, that's the age group that they need to try out for. So if your daughter is 12 right now and will be 12 all the way until May, but turns 13 in May, they need to try out for the 13-year-old team. Okay, so when you're in here, this is how you need to sign up for these evaluations. So if that's the situation I'm looking at for my daughter, she turns 13 in May, I'm going to come in here and click register. And when I do, it's going to give you a section to type in all your information. If you've been to any of our summer programming and have had to register, don't type in your additional information. Excuse me, you can go right to the username and password, which should be on the right-hand side, username and password. Type in your username and password that you had previously for any of the clinics, small groups, open gyms that we have had in the past couple of months, okay? So that's how you can sign up for open evaluations. And when you go into the 13 session, you'll be able to see the 3 open evaluations for the 13s, and they have a specific place at a specific time. So because we're in different gyms this year, we've had to move around gyms because of Corona. We don't have everyone in one location this year. So it's very important that you send your daughter to the correct age because it's going to have a different location and a different time. That 13s are going to be different from 14s. 14s are different from 15s, right? So if you can please be cautious about that, we would appreciate it. We're going to do our best on the back end to review the birthdays, but a lot of the registrations come in last minute and we're not able to adjust those manually. So any help you can give us would be greatly appreciated. So that's under classes for your open evaluations. Then if you click on camps, this is where you find tryouts. Okay, so open evaluations are under clinics, Under camps is where you find tryouts. So if you are ready to sign up for tryouts today, you are welcome to do so, and you can register from this page. If you want to wait, that's perfectly fine. You can sign up for open evaluations and wait to sign up for tryouts later. So again, kind of same rule of thumb. It's very important to know the age that your daughter is trying out for. As we start getting more people to register, again, we're going to be reviewing birthdays and making sure that you're going to the right events. And we might have to manually move you over and then contact you to change. So any help, again, you can make sure that we're trying out, putting your correct information in would be extremely helpful. Yes, I'm going to get to that. I see your question, James, and I will get to that in a little bit. Thank you for asking. So just one more reminder, open evaluations are under classes and tryouts are under camps. And this is at nexusyouthsports.leagueapps.com. Okay. All right, let me switch back to the PowerPoint now, but I wanted to show you a visual so everyone was on the same page. I hope that was helpful. Okay. So am I going the wrong way? Okay. So we are asking everyone to use the registration link. So even if you show up to the open evaluation or show up to the tryouts without registering online, we're going to have you wait outside or wait in your car until you do the online registration from your phone, and then allow you to come in. And the reason that we're doing that is because we have forms that are uploaded into the registration software, and we need you to verify that you've read the forms inside of the software before we allow you in the door. It also makes sure that everyone has the correct membership. So in order to come to open evaluations and tryouts, we do need a USA Volleyball membership. It's on the link. So if you go to nexusyouthsports.com and click on Fall 2020, it should be right there at the top where it says USAV membership. And if you click that, it'll take you right to the page that you need to do the registration. Each year it's $55 to register with the region of USA Volleyball. That's where we get our insurance from. That's where we play a lot of our tournaments. And we do need to have that registration before your daughter can be on the court. That's why we require it to be done outside before she's allowed in the building. We also have a COVID waiver, as I'm sure you anticipated, and that's also in there that you'd be signing as well. Okay, the last thing that we need along those lines is the medical waiver. So on the same web page on Fall 2020, there's a link for a USAV medical waiver, and it should be fillable for you. And if you need to print it and sign it, that's perfectly fine. If you can electronically sign it, that's also fine. If you need to print it and sign it and then take a picture of it with your phone and upload it to the system, that's absolutely fine. If you have a fancy scanner, that's fantastic. So we are willing to take this document however you can get it to us. But especially because there aren't parents allowed in the building for the most part for the open evaluations and tryouts, and we're trying to limit the number of people in, and we're juggling those variables because of Corona, we really need the medical waiver right away for open evaluations, because if anything happens with your daughter and we're not aware of a medical condition, or we're not sure if we can call an ambulance or not on your behalf, we're going to be in a world of trouble. So if we could have those, that would be perfect. If your daughter has not played in the AZ region before, the Arizona region of USA Volleyball, we will also need a birth certificate. So we don't need that at open evaluations, but we definitely need that at tryouts. Again, take a picture of it with your phone and email it to us. Take a picture of your phone and upload it to the registration link. There's a lot of different options to get that to us. We're trying to be as flexible as possible. But we do need to have that on file if your daughter has not played club in the Arizona region before. The COVID waiver, the concussion and safe sport, those are paperwork we've done early in the past. Don't worry about that initially now. We'll be doing that at contract signing like we did last year, because those need a physical signature to be written on them. So what you really need to do, the only paper that really needs to be hand signed is the medical waiver. Everything else can be done electronically. Everything else is going to be done through the registration system. Okay. That was a lot on that, wasn't it? Okay, so here's pricing. Maybe this will answer your question, James. And if not, feel free to ask something else. So for open evaluations, again, like I said, they're by age group this year, because again, we're trying to keep numbers low, and we also are in smaller gyms than in previous years. So they're going to be $15 per session for the open evaluation. So there's 3 of them per age group. Your daughter is not required to be at all 3. We, of course, welcome her to be at all 3 and for you to sign up for all 3. And we'd love to interact at all 3, but it's not a requirement to make a team by any means. The only requirement to make a team is to be at tryouts. So we are going to do $15 per session. Tryouts again are by age groups. And like I said, that date is 7/1 instead of 9/1. So if your daughter has an August birthday, they can try out for the younger team now without a waiver. So that's a pretty big difference there for a couple of girls. Tryouts are also $25. So you'll notice when you sign up on our registration link, it will ask for the $25 to confirm your spot for tryout. So that's a standard fee. We've had that for the past 5 years. Everything is on league apps. Yes, of course, this is again really important because we need to track our numbers for COVID. So thank you for your cooperation with all that. We really, really appreciate that. And then the USAV membership is required for any evaluation or tryout. So before she can be on the court, we need that USAV membership. If you've played club before, your daughter's played club before, you are going to notice a difference in the USAV membership because they used to use WebPoint and now they're using Sports Engine. So you'll notice that when you see the link that I send you, like, oh, wow, this looks different from last year. You're absolutely right. It looks different. And now they're using Sports Engine for their USAV membership. It's still $55. It's still a very similar process. But of course, if you have any questions, let us know. It should be pretty straightforward through that link off of the Fall 2020 webpage from our website. Okay, so again, we're also using league apps. The really nice thing about league apps is not only can we do our registrations that way and keep track of who's at all of our events and keep our coaches in the know with where everything's at, league apps is also the same system we're going to be using for payments. So yay, the registration and the payments are going to be in the same place. So we're really, really happy about that. When your daughter is assigned a team, or if your daughter is assigned to be on a team after tryouts, then you don't need to do anything until we send you an email. But we'll assign you to a team. So it'll be on our side that we'll assign you to a team. Good question, Sarah. I'll answer that in just a couple of minutes. Thank you for asking. We'll assign you to a team through league apps and you'll be able to see the payment plan. The really nice thing is it gives you a little bit of control because you can choose to pay in full if you're going to pay that way. And we have discounts if you decide to pay in full on tryout day. Or if you would prefer a payment plan, we have a traditional payment plan, which is a once a month payment that we spread out for 5 or 6 months. And you can assign yourself that plan. Do we have to pay the fee each payment since it's through the system? So I think you're asking about open evaluations, I'm sure. So when you go through the system and you sign up for multiple, they're labeled as classes. So multiple classes for open evaluations at the same time, it'll just go through as one bill, if that helps, Denise. So you'll add, I want to add 1, 2, 3. Oh, monthly payments. For monthly payments will be charged a 4% fee. Good question. I might need Cassie for that one. Cassie, do you know if the monthly payments have a 4% fee every time? If you want to type it in even, that'd be good. Okay, so again, with the league apps payment plans, our goal is to not handle any money this year. So no passing checks to Cassie or I or cash. And we're doing that because it's so much easier, obviously, for us to collect payments through league apps, but also, the cleanliness part of it and us having to show up at different practices and coordinating that with our schedule and coordinating that with your schedule. It's been a real headache the past couple of years. And so we are going to go to electronic payments only. So that's how we're going to do that. And I said preset payment plans. So we can do adjustments. So if you remember, from the first or second slide, we are a nonprofit, we're a 501c3. We want to make sure that money is not a reason that your family is not playing club. So if you need a different payment plan than what is in the system, you need to pay biweekly, or you need to pay in different chunks because of how you get paid with commission or a bonus or a tax, your taxes or something, that's absolutely fine. Just let us know, because we have to make the adjustments on our end for it to process your payment the correct way. So please don't be shy about needing any of those sort of adjustments. Is there an option to use credit from last season onto the league app? Yes, thank you. Yes, Alan. So we do have all the credits from last season, and it is easy to put them into league app. So yes, if you don't see it immediately because of adding 130 girls at one time, feel free to flag us and make sure that we know that. But I think we've put in a lot of those credits, and Cassie and Nicole have been working hard on doing that. Okay, yeah, we hear your concern, Denise, and we will ask our payment system. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, I will cover more about Corona and our plan for handling that towards the end. So I hope I'm going to answer all your questions there, and of course, plug in some more if you have them. Okay, so we do like to preface this every year just because we want to know. So directors, Cassie and I would like to know if you're, oops, sorry. Oh my goodness. Going ahead. All right. If your daughter is 15 or older and wants to be recruited, wants to play in college, we would like to know that. And we can come up, help you with a recruitment plan. We can refer you to a recruiter to help you with that process. And we want to make sure, if we can, that she can be on a team where she's most likely to be seen by a recruiter. So we would definitely like to know that. Please communicate with us if you need an individualized payment plan that's different from something that we might have, or if you think you might need help with paying for club. If you could let us know early on, we would really, really appreciate that. And then the other part is, there are some people who do not want to be on a national team and have any travel whatsoever. They have a more limited schedule with their family or whatever the situation is. We really need to know that before tryouts. So send us an email, send me a text, whatever works. But if you could let us know that you don't want to be on a national team, that would be very helpful. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. We haven't done a lot of this in the past. We do have resources to help out, and we would love to help out with recruiting, especially for the older girls. And it's kind of a tough time for recruiting, to be totally frank with all of you, because of some of the rules changing in the college because of what's happened with Corona, and they're giving seniors a chance to be a fifth-year senior and play a fifth year on teams. And now freshmen are competing with seniors who've already been on the team. I mean, it's a lot of pressure for some of those girls, but it's absolutely possible to be recruited, and we do have a lot of resources to help out. So if you're interested in that, just let us know, flag us down so we can help out. Okay, so I know everyone's really anxious about price, and the cat's out of the bag, the mystery is out. We essentially have the same prices as last year. So there's a lot of things that are changing, and there's a lot of adjustments that we're making behind the scenes. But we are keeping prices the same. We wanted to keep that commitment to you. We know that you're paying a lot of money and making a very big commitment to have your girls play club. And so we're keeping it this way. So if you're familiar with our club, we have 3 categories of teams. The first is our gray level. So our gray has no out-of-state travel. This is a team who's more developing their skills. They're focused on, learning a lot of the skills, learning the technical aspects of the game. So this could be anywhere from a 12-year-old team to a 16-year-old team, and they are not traveling out of state. So those are their prices there. The green level, that's what we call our national level teams. This can be all ages. They have at least 1 out-of-state travel. This year, the big announcement for us on traveling is, we'll go over more in a little bit, but we are not going to be flying to to tournaments. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for our families. And if you feel nervous about flying, whenever that might be in the season, we're trying to keep everything close to home so that you can, travel by car and try to contain as much as you possibly can as a family. So we're trying to keep that, commitment to you there. Our black level teams, we're doing at least 2 out-of-state travel, again, both drivable as close as we possibly can with how spread out our states are in the Southwest. And we have a qualifier in Arizona that they can go to as well. So the black level teams are highly competitive. They have a lot of extra attention. They have coaches that are very advanced and have higher level certifications. And they get a lot of attention from the club. So not only are they traveling, but they have a lot of expertise that level has as well. So again, these are the same prices as last year. The biggest difference here is that we are going to be offering festival. We're even offering festival in our prices. So we're really trying to keep our prices low and get as many tournaments as possible. And we're going to be as flexible as we can as we're watching to see what happens with Corona. So, okay. So this is what the pricing includes. So 2 to 3 days of practice per week and 1 day of conditioning with Action Sports Performance. So we are so happy to announce that we are partnering with Action Sports Performance, or ASP. They have been housed at ASC. Over the past couple months, some of our girls have been attending their conditionings, and they have very high quality conditioning, really great programming. And we're so happy to announce that we are going to be partnering with them this year and that they're going to be helping our girls. Of course, it includes the jersey, spandex, backpack, practice t-shirts, and warm-ups. For the national teams, the warm-ups are for the national teams. The rest of the package is for all the teams. But of course, your price includes that. And we definitely use most of the deposit that we're collecting to pay for those purchases up front. And then it includes all the club championship or open tournaments from the Arizona region. So the Arizona region of USA Volleyball, the one we require you to have your membership. This is why, because we are participating in their tournaments across Arizona. Each team has 7 to 8 tournaments that they put on for us. And then, of course, you're paying for additional tournaments for the age and the skill levels. And as much as we possibly can, we're going to be doing other events that we add on. I'm sure you can all anticipate that events are going to be a challenging thing for us to pull off, if we can pull them off at all. But we love to see our families and have you guys get to know each other and be able to play sand volleyball and have our picnic and those fun things. So if we can bring that programming to you, we absolutely will. And yeah, Cassie just confirmed, I hope I said it correctly, but Cassie just confirmed that festival will be included for the green and black level only. So gray teams will be able to add it on if they want to at the end of the season, and we can offer the pricing on that at that time. But for green and black, festival is included. That's a great question, Victoria, and we'll be, I'll have Cassie and Nicole answer that one in the chat. Okay, so for our traveling teams, we are going to be traveling differently this year, and it's mostly in reaction to Corona, as I'm sure. I will answer your question, Darcy. Just give me a second. I think I might answer it now. So we're trying to be sensitive to everything that's going on. We want you to feel 100% safe. We want your daughters to feel safe in the process as well. So traveling teams will be traveling and staying with their family. So that means if you are assigned to a traveling team and you accept the traveling team, then you are also accepting the commitment to stay at the hotel that the club chooses. So a lot of our traveling tournaments are stay to play, which means, let's take Vegas, for example. When we decide to go to Vegas, we are also going to decide what hotel our club is committing to. We have to make that commitment when we sign up for the tournament itself. So if we decide as a club to be at a hotel, every family needs to be at that hotel. You're making that commitment. So if you want to room together, bunk together, whatever, that's between you and the other parents on the team. But our girls need to be staying at that hotel together. So we're going back to that traveling family policy instead of putting girls together. And I think you can probably understand why with all the nervousness around Corona. So, when we're traveling, we are very strict about curfew, family time versus staying with your team, those kind of things. We're going to have to play it by ear as much as possible with how much we can really enjoy outside of the tournament space, how many families are allowed in. So Darcy, to kind of answer your question, will parents be allowed to attend tournaments? That is a fantastic question. For now, USAV tournaments, the Arizona region tournaments are allowing 3 parents into the tournaments per team. 3 parents per team. So that is not a Club Nexus rule. That is a USA Volleyball. That is an Arizona region policy. So that's where the policy stands for now. We assume it could change over time if things are looking better in our state, but for now they're not looking better. So that policy is standing, and you're going to take turns as parents of who can go to what tournaments. So those are considerations that we need to keep in mind as well. As a club, we can't stop you from carpooling to the event and hanging out together and those kind of things. But where they can control some of the variables inside of the buildings, they are doing that. We have not heard yet about the national qualifiers and whether or not you can, how many people are going to be allowed in those events, because those are extremely large spaces with tens of thousands of people in the event. So we have not heard what they're going to be doing for those yet. And the second we do, we'll let you know. Okay, so currently our driving tournaments for out of state are Las Vegas and Reno. So that's what we have planned at this time. Okay, so what are tryouts like? For anyone that hasn't been through our tryout process, and again, because it looks different with Corona, we're trying to figure this part out. So number 1, like we went over previously, athletes do need to pre-register before coming to tryouts on the links on the website. So Mike, I am recording, so we'll put that, and I can do the slide deck as well. Sure, that's no problem. And we will post the costs on the website when we're done with this webinar. So everyone does have to pre-register before coming to tryouts. So please, please, please make sure we're doing that. All the links to specifically register for tryouts will be on the website. All of our costs will be on the website. That will be up today or tomorrow at the latest. Everyone will be given a t-shirt, just like we did last year, with a number on it that they have to bring to every open gym and tryout. So if they're going to come to all 3 open evaluations and tryouts, they need to wear the same t-shirt to all 4 events. So whether it's stinky or clean, we don't really care, but they need to wear the same t-shirt to all 4 events. Because we are tracking, it's hard for us to learn everyone's name. Last year we had almost 200 girls, 175, something like that came to events. So the number system really helps us out so we can make sure we're not losing any girl in the shuffle and we're getting everyone evaluated. All coaches of all age groups will rubric the girls on skills, attitude, teamwork, etc. We do this every year. So you see people holding clipboards and taking notes. It's a really, really good thing that we're doing that. We're looking at skills, attitude, teamwork. We're looking at how they work with other girls on the court. So those soft skills are extremely important on top of their technical skills as well. But you'll be seeing that everyone rubrics the girls. And then Cassie and myself will add together the scores from all the coaches to determine the teams. So the final say comes from the directors on how the teams are made up. Coaches make some suggestions on who needs to be on their team. Cassie and I have other suggestions that we're looking at from the rubric, and we're looking at from the numbers from the evaluations of every coach in the club. So that's how that we announce. And after tryouts are done, we will announce the teams before you leave, and then we'll ask the parents to start the contract signing process. So to guarantee your spot on the team, the contract must be signed before you leave. So if you leave the gym, you leave tryouts without signing a contract, technically your spot is available, and we can ask someone from a different team to fill that spot. We can get people from makeup tryouts to fill that spot. So if you want a spot guaranteed on the team, you need to sign before you leave. Monica, can parents attend tryouts? So this is a hard one for us, and I'm going to answer your question, Sarah, as well. So tryouts is one of those times, and for a Corona season, it's even harder, but it's one of those times where girls from multiple teams will be together, right? So at tryouts, we could have 50, 60, 70. We've had at least that many in one location together. And I think we all kind of know the rules around how many people should be in one room at one time. We've always had open tryouts in the past where parents can watch. At this point, I don't see how that can be a possibility. We're going to try to make it comfortable for you to sit outside the building. If you want to bring your own chairs, you want to bring a pop-up tent to be able to sit outside. I think that's appropriate. If you want to sit in your car, you want to drop off and come back, we can try to live stream. We're trying to think of every solution possible so that you feel included in the process. But the reality right now is the more bodies inside of the building, the more people breathing with or without masks on, that means there's, it multiplies this magnitude of people who could be infected. And honestly, if one person out of the 70 people, including kids and parents, tells me that they tested positive for Corona in that room of tryouts, so we were all in that room together, every single person in that room has to be quarantined and cannot play volleyball for 2 weeks. So that's how serious everything is being handled at this point. So I don't see a possibility for parents actually being in the room. We are going to try to live stream tryouts so that parents can watch. And it's only my internet is unstable, so I hope I'm not breaking up. We're going to live stream so parents can watch. If you want to bring a tent and sit outside with your comfy chair, whatever you got to do, we totally understand, and we want you to feel as involved as possible. But at this point, we really don't see it being a reality. So Sarah, now to answer your question, we think the best move going forward, and this is just specifically for tryouts, is that the girls should wear masks at tryouts, during tryouts, while they're on the court. So it's the day that's going to have the most athletes on the court at one time. They are not going to be asked to wear masks at practice. At this point in the game, they are not being asked to wear masks at practice. Walking into practice, yes, you need a mask. Walking back to your car from practice, yes, you need a mask. But actually playing on the court during practice, we are not going to be asking them to wear masks at this time. But during tryouts, we do think it's a really good idea. If you look at the 14s age bracket, for example, we could have 3 to 4 teams on one court at the same time. And if we have one person that tests positive, all 4 of those teams cannot play volleyball for 2 solid weeks. So maybe it seems a little extreme. I was coaching it at school, at a high school this year, and we practiced for 3 solid weeks with our masks on. All the coaches had the mask, all the girls had the masks, and we had 50 in the court at the same time across 3 different courts. So I've seen it work successfully. The girls were fine. They worked really hard. They ended up having a positive attitude because they understood coming into the day that if they want to play volleyball for now in this world, in this crazy environment, this is a commitment that they're making. They need to make this commitment to protect each other, to protect themselves. And we'll move on and we'll move forward in a positive way. And we're going to keep playing as much as humanly possible. But if we can stay as cautious as possible initially, it's really going to help out. We know a lot of other clubs are having similar policies. So we really appreciate all your efforts in staying according to our policies as well. So of course, adults need to wear masks at all times. So if you are at the tournament standing under, if you're at a tournament in January and you're outside sitting in your chair under the canopy with all the food, you should be wearing your mask. If you're inside the gym watching a game, you should be wearing your mask. If you're walking in your car, you should be wearing your mask. So adults, from our perspective, need to have masks on around volleyball 100% of the time. Athletes need to be wearing masks every minute unless they are actively eating, actively drinking, or playing. So they need to have their mask on them. So having like an extra 2 in their backpack that they can bring to practice. We're going to try to figure out how to do matching masks or personalize their masks so they don't mismatch them and grab the wrong person's mask. So we're thinking about all these solutions so that we keep them as safe as possible. Coaches will be cleaning the balls and the gym areas between every practice. That's the commitment that we're making. So if there's 2 teams at one practice location, the younger team's earlier, the older team comes later. They're washing balls, they're washing bleachers, and they're washing even like the bathroom and handles and these kind of things in between teams. So every coach will have their own spray bottle, every coach will have their own towels, so they can make sure that they're cleaning the areas in between. We don't want to close practices 100%. We know that's really not possible for some of you that are driving longer distances and things like that. If you're at a location, there are some locations we don't have control over. So if your team is practicing at ASC and ASC says 0 parents are allowed in the door, that's an ASC policy. That's not a Nexus policy, and we need to abide by Nexus policy. We need to abide by ASC policy. But if you're at a school where there's no one monitoring and it's only Club Nexus that's there, we are really asking for limited parents at practice. And we're really asking for our coaches to communicate to the directors who is at practice. For now, we're keeping that commitment because we need to know if someone was sick, who was sick, and who should we notify that they might have been infected. So limited parents at practice. Again, if you want to sit outside in a comfy chair, you want to sit in your car, if you need to run errands. I know it's not ideal, but we are trying everything we can to keep your girls on the court and not have anyone be sick. All right, so again, I know I've said this multiple times, but if anyone on the team is positive, the whole team is quarantined for 14 days. And there's going to be no price change for that, right? So if the entire team is quarantined for 14 days, we're still going to be collecting dues as usual. I know some of you have gone through the canceling the whole event, or the schools cancel, or everything was shut down, and we went through that last year. So we are prepared to pause dues. We are prepared to give refunds if we need to. We're really optimistic about how this season's going to go. We're trying everything possible to pay our large expenses just based off of the deposits and not be relying on the monthly payments, right? But the reality is we need those monthly payments that you're making on a regular basis for us to stay open as a club, for us to continue to pay our coaches, for us to reserve our spots at the gyms, to pay for the tournaments that we're going to. And so, there will be as much communication as we possibly can while these things are happening, and how we can refund as much as possible, or how we can pause, the payments. But we do have an immense amount of commitment from the club perspective with bills that are due on a regular basis. And I know the most important thing from our perspective is our coaches, and we want to respect our coaches who are coming out and serving us and serving your daughters. And so we want to keep paying them, right? Because they are making that commitment. Maybe they're making time sacrifices away from family. Maybe they're making health sacrifices for themselves as well. And we want to stay committed to our coaches. The next thing, of course, is making sure that we don't lose gyms. So if we can report to our schools that our kids were being as responsible as possible and we didn't have to quarantine any teams, we are going to be even more likely to keep our facilities. But if we have to report to our facilities that a couple teams were shut down because they had the virus, they might not let us back into the school. So please keep those kind of things in mind, where there are a lot of variables this season that we're keeping track of, and all these commitments financially that we have to continually pay, and all these commitments to other parties that we don't have all the control over. So we are going to the season with our eyes open, really taking into consideration all that this season has to offer. And we are as committed as possible to keeping your kids on the court as long as possible, having a blast with each other. I know it's been so hard having people home with your, you home with your kids. And we want them to be on the court. We miss them so much. Okay, I want to make sure I answered people's questions. James, let me know if I answered your question. Multi-child player discount. Yes, so it's the same as last year. We haven't changed any of our discounts. Wow, I'm losing my voice this evening. I'm sorry. Yes, so there's a sibling discount, and there is a pay in full discount. So both of those discounts are will be active for this season, and they don't the sibling discount, I believe we take it out on this. Cassie, you might have to answer the sibling discount for the open gyms, but definitely for the tryouts, when we're moving your children in manually to their teams, we will be notified. We will know that siblings are there, and we will give you a discount code. So it'll be really obvious on the day of tryouts, these discount codes, one for paying in full, it's already built into the system. And the other discount code is for a sibling discount. So if one person's paying for two siblings, of course, under the same account, that's how that can be paid. So good question, same as last year. How many national teams and regional teams you will have for 14s? What an excellent segue, Julie, into my next slide. Thank you so much. All right. All right, so coaches lineup. So again, we're not inside. Yeah, good question, Michelle. I'll review that as well. Okay, so let's talk about our coaches lineup. We have some of the coaches on the call. So if you want to say hi, coaches, you can wave or say hi in the chat or whatever. Okay, so this is what we are projecting we need for the season. And I do use the word projecting because this is our best guess. We haven't seen all the kids that are going to come to tryouts yet, right? We haven't seen the talent level. We haven't seen the numbers of people that are coming out. But based on our experience, based on previous years, and we do project very well historically, might I add, but please keep in mind that these teams can adjust if we need them to. So if there's an immense talent pool at 15s, and right now we only have one 15s team, and we're like, oh man, we're really missing the boat, but I only have one 15s team, there might be some adjustments in here. At this time, we cannot add more teams to this list. We are looking at a 12 teams as the maximum because of the number of courts that we have. So we're going to keep that in mind as well, is these are the maximum number of teams. We cannot find any more courts. So adding more teams to this list is really not a possibility. And we had to find more coaches and all those kind of things, which we don't want to do. So I hope I answered your question, Julie, just by showing you this chart. We're going to post it on social media if it hasn't already been done. I'm sure it has because Nicole is on top of everything. But this is what we see currently. So in that 14s age bracket, there's 2 green teams and 2 gray teams, a 13 green and a 14 green, a 13 gray and a 14 gray. Last year we had 5 14s teams. So again, we might have to make an adjustment, but for now we think 4 is going to be appropriate for what we've seen so far. Yeah, Michelle, great question. So how will we know if the child's accepted to a team during tryouts if we're not inside with the child? That's an excellent question. I'm not sure I have a perfectly aligned answer for you at this time, but we will have a solution before that day. Those are one of the things, like historically, we've always posted like a list on the wall and mommy, I made it, and you run over to your mom. And yeah, you're right. It is going to have to look different this year. So we'll absolutely communicate before that happens. Good question. Where will practice locations be at? I'm gonna have to rely on you, Cassie or Nicole, for this one. I don't have my list in front of me. Can either of you come on and help me with practice locations?
I can. So we have a couple of practice courts at ASC again this season. We have some Avondale School District schools, including Centera Mirage and Desert Thunder. And then we have another school in the Dysart School District that we are looking to get. And then we are constantly communicating with other schools just to ensure that we have enough court space for our teams. But we are trying to keep everything in the same general area, centrally located to Goodyear.
Yeah. Thank you. So I hope that helped. I think I answered the questions that I've seen. How many players per team? Wonderful question. Specifically 12U. So we always keep our teams within the 10 to 12 range. I think this year it's going to be 10 or 11. So it's even more specific of what we're looking for. There might be a couple teams with 12 because, again, if we only have 2 teams that we have allocated for 12-year-olds and we get more than 24 players that come out, I mean, it's gonna be really, really hard to turn people away. But we always have a solution for that. So I'm not trying to scare anyone away from trying out by any means. I think we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 12. Less than 10 can be challenging to get everyone to commit to the full season. But more than 12 is just too unreasonable for the coach. So we always stay in that range. Does anybody else have questions? I'm going back through the chat just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Do you have a time frame for midweek practice? I'm not sure I know what that means. Do you have a time frame for like what times are practices during the evening? If you go to our website, nexusyouthsports.com, and you go to the calendar page, all the practices, okay, great. All the practices are already on the calendar. We don't start practice before 5, and we don't have practice later than 9:30, I believe, which are only for the older teams. So those are our practices. The second, you will know at tryouts before you leave when your team is practicing and where and who your coaches are and all that good stuff. So you will definitely know. Cassie is fantastic at updating the calendar and putting your team name next to all the calendar dates. She's fantastic at that. So, and then you will have a group me with your coach where they will be updating events as well. Yep. So Tracy, I think Cassie answered your question. Desert Star is where we'll be hosting tryouts this year. Tryouts for the 14 and under are on the 21st, and tryouts for 15 and older are on December 6th, which, yes, is a Sunday. So keep that in mind, please. No problem. How many practices occur for the 13U per week? Yes. 13U has 2 practices per week, and they are 2 hours each. All right, we do have a couple more minutes, so I've gone over everything that I've intended to go over, and I'm happy to stay and answer questions. I've recorded the webinar, and I can post the slides and all that good stuff. Oh, the deposit, yeah. I will. It's different for every team. The deposit amount is different for every team. So when I post that onto the tryout page for the website, I will also have the deposits there. So thank you. Yes, that's a fantastic question. Appreciate asking that. What's the biggest difference between gray and green teams specific to skills? Never played club before, but has played for other teams. Yeah, great question. So some of it has to do with, honestly, the skill level that comes to tryouts. And it also depends on the age a little bit. That might be a better question to ask me one-on-one, so I can speak to like a 13-year-old skill level versus a 16-year-old skill level. But it does have a lot to do with who comes to practice. But the biggest thing we're looking for is, for the younger ages, can they do 3 hits? Do they know lineups? Are they able to switch to their position effectively? Do they know how to transition? I mean, if those kind of basic skills are not accomplished and they're not confident doing them, that's definitely going to be a gray level player. So even if they have a fantastic hit, if they're like don't have court awareness and they not a great serve and they don't have very consistent passes, that might be a gray level player. But if you have a more specific question about that for an age level, feel free to reach out to me directly. clubnexusvolleyball@gmail.com. And my phone number is 602-545-2038. It's on the website. So That's my cell phone number. What days do 13s practice? That might be on the calendar already. I believe it is. Cassie can correct me if I'm wrong. But again,
The specific practices haven't been assigned yet, but they're all scheduled around the coach's availability and will be updated as soon as we can once we have that availability.
so all those specific who's practicing at what time and at what location will for sure be announced at tryouts when you find out what team you're on. If you have something that's like, there is no way that my kid can practice on Wednesdays or something, please let us know. A lot of those things that we've interacted with in the past, we've ended up finding a carpool solution for them. But if you have something like that, you can let us know ahead of time. Is there a chance any of the 12U teams will be green teams? Yeah, good question. Is there a chance? There's a chance. I don't know if it's like a 5% chance or a 40% chance. It's going to be easier for us to answer that question after seeing the open evaluations, at least one or two of them. But for now, we usually go into every season thinking 12 is focused on development and focused on creating those technical skills. And so we go in assuming that we're going to have gray teams. We don't make a lot of assumptions around having green teams because most of the 12s that come to us are pretty new to the sport in general. But if there are at least 10 girls who are competitive and ready to go, we'll definitely have to look at that for an adjustment. So it'll be easier for us to say yes or no after the first open evaluation. So if you'd like to come to at least the first open evaluation, let us look at your daughter, let us look at the rest of the teams and ask us after that. We might have a better idea at that time. So sorry for the not super clear answer. How do we print off the membership cards, waivers on Sports Engine? It shows all are completed but unable to see. Yeah, good question. Even if you screenshot that page, we're good with that. We just need to verify that that is the case. It's not, really, nothing has to be super fancy from our perspective at all. A lot of people bring the screenshots to the event. If you know the membership number, that's usually the most important thing. So everyone's assigned a membership number that they pay for. Yeah, Cassie just said there's an ID number there. Have you posted the season club fees? Nope, we have not. We're going to post them either tonight or first thing tomorrow. So it'll be on the website for sure. So that'll be coming. We went over it a couple slides ago, but we will post it today or tomorrow. If your child tries out for gray but could play for green, do you offer a switch team? So I'm assuming you're saying that you've already communicated to us that they don't want to play national. Really, that's where that situation would come in mind. If your child comes to, let's say, the 14-year-old tryout, we're going to look at everyone for green and everyone for gray, unless you specifically tell us that you do not want them to be on a green team, either because of money or because of time or whatever your reason is. We're going to look for every player to play at the highest team and see, if they meet that level. So I hope that answers your question there. If you want to specifically tell us something different, again, email me, text me, whatever. Will the 12U teams be compiled like they were last year, a mix of beginners and players that have played club before, or will there be an A team and a developmental team if there is no national team? That is a solid question. I'm kind of going to give you a generic answer, but I know we can touch base later after we, all right, thanks Shannon for the feedback. We can touch base later on that after we see what the teams look like. So a lot of the 12s, there's so much development that happens at the 12 level that sometimes it makes sense to us, as it has in previous years, to split as evenly. skill wise as possible, because some of the players that come in as a weaker player on day one end up being one of the strongest players on day, on the end of the season. So it's really hard to predict how much growth is going to happen, especially if your daughter is newer to club. So I will give you that kind of caveat, especially with the 12s, because so many are brand new to club and some of them really thrive quite fast. But if there's a distinct, these players are very immensely competitive and these players really need a lot of developmental time, we will be dividing differently. So that might be a better question if you catch up with us like halfway through the open evals week, Denise, if you don't mind. Okay, so it's 7 o'clock, so feel free to log off. I know Cassie has to go, and I know a few others have to go right at 7. I'm happy to hang on a little bit longer and answer a couple more questions. Thank you so much for coming. Feel free to tell your friends, show them the video, whatever you need. We're always here to answer your questions. We want you to feel comfortable, and we're going to do whatever we can to keep the season going. So we're so looking forward to it. Thanks for your time, everybody. Okay, I only see one 13 team. Will it be regional or national? So there's a 13 green with Lance and a 13 gray with Amy. So there's 2 13 teams at this time that we're projecting that we need. And there's 1 national and 1 regional. So it's nice to keep the age groups together because they can grow together. So they can be 13s, 14s, 15s, and go through the ranks together. So that's kind of what we're trying to do this year. So there should be 2 13 teams, 2 14 teams. I hope that helps. Anybody else? Thanks for coming so much, everybody. I can't wait to see your kids more. Can't wait to see your faces more, and well, half your face, right? Yeah, great question. So we'll review gray and green. So our gray team is the developmental level. So it's players who need more technical skill development. So they're not as competitive as a team. They're not placed as high in the tournaments. They have a lot of, more scrimmage level kind of competition, where green teams are national teams. They're going to be competing at a higher level, and they're actually going to travel to a tournament in Vegas. So it's more expensive because there's more tournaments, and gray teams play closer to home. The 18 black coach is a new coach. His name is Oscar. We're still in negotiation with his assistant coach. He has 20 years of coaching experience. He's coached at other clubs for several years. He's coached at recreational levels for several years. He has a daughter that plays and is going to be trying out. He's a very competitive coach, a technical coach, and we're really excited to have him a part of the team. His bio is on our webpage. So if you go to nexususports.com and you click on Nexus staff, and you will see his picture. You'll see Oscar's picture. And then if you click biography, you can read his bio that he submitted. And almost all of our coaches are up there. We'd had a lot of new hires, so I'm catching up with some of their bios, but you can look at some of their pictures and read their bios if you're interested. We've got some incredible new coaches that we are thrilled to have as a part of Nexus. So yeah, you guys are really lucky this year. At this time, parents will not be allowed at the evaluations. So I offered that parents could bring, a tent to sit under. They could bring chairs to sit outside. They could sit in their car, whatever you need to do. We're going to try to live stream as many of our events as possible. But at this time, we're not, because there could be up to 50 or 60 girls trying out or doing evaluations at one time. And if one person is sick, all 60 of them have to be quarantined for 14 days. And the more people we allow in the building, the more we're exposing everyone. So at this point, we're not having them open to parents. All right, I don't see any more questions at this point, but again, I will sit here a little bit longer. And see, my PowerPoint's done. I can even play some more music for you guys. Oh, Tracy, you are the best. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So high school, if your player is on a roster at a high school and that high school, the varsity team is still in the tournaments, still in playoffs, they cannot come. Even if they're on the freshman team, even if they've never been pulled up to varsity, if that varsity team is still actively playing in the playoff tournaments, they cannot attend any open gyms until the high school team is done and they've been eliminated or they win the whole kit and caboodle. So that's why everything had to be pushed back into December for the high school students. So yes, thank you so much for asking that question. The second your team is eliminated, the second the team is eliminated, you are welcome to come on the club court. And that's just a club rule. That's an AIA rule. That's not even a club rule. That's a high school AIA rule. If someone catches them playing on the club court, the varsity team will be ineligible. So it's a big deal. They take it very seriously. Thank you for asking that question. We do have times for the tryouts on the 21st. Yes, yes, yes. Let me see what I can do. I will try to show you. So here's how you sign up for tryouts. So nexusyouthsports.leagueapps.com. And if you click on camps, that's where you'll find the tryouts. And everything should be posted here, I believe, right? So make sure you pick the right age group. So again, whatever your daughter is before July 1st, however old your daughter is before July 1st of 2021, that's the team that they have to be on. So where is my mouse? There it is. So let me click and register and make sure. Oh, I did that wrong. So if I click on the event, does it have a time? Yep, there it is. So it's in gray off to the side, but here's the time here. Okay, so I clicked on the event. I didn't see when I clicked register, it took me to a different page. But if I click the event itself, I can look more at the details. So you can find this is the location for the event and here's the time. So this is on Saturday, the 21st from 9 to 11. That's when the 13s are having tryouts at Desert Star. So yes, all the tryouts are posted. You can even register for tryouts right now today. And tryouts are $25. Social media is updated regularly. Yep, exactly. So Nicole's doing an awesome job with social media and we will be posting regularly there. So if you don't already like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram, this would be a great time to do that to get those updates because we do post there regularly. Yeah, my phone number is 602-545-2038. And I'm very happy to take questions, but I also have a full-time job. So if you wouldn't mind texting me questions before calling me or asking me if I'm free so that you could call me, I would really appreciate that. But yes, you can use my number. Okay. My daughter turns 16 in January. Would she be trying out for, yep. So she has to try out for 16s. Yep. Yeah, you are welcome for all the information. Good questions, everybody. Thanks again for coming. I don't see any more questions. Oh, well, kids find out right away if they don't make a team. Yeah, so we have not had very many seasons where we've had to cut people from teams. It's like the absolute worst thing that we do. We hate it so much. But yes, your kids will know right away. They will be told face-to-face, in person, by a very loving and understanding coach if they did not make a team. The other, commitment that I want to make to you is if that happens, we really don't foresee that happening, right? We really don't. That's the worst case scenario for us. But if it does happen, we really want your kid to play volleyball, right? Even if it's not for Club Nexus. So if they don't make a team, they will be told in a very respectful way, face to face, that that is what happened. And we are committed to helping you find a different team. So we'll do whatever we can to help you find a different team. So yeah, it's really the worst. We hate it so much, but hopefully it doesn't happen this year. Oh, got it. Yeah, well, I'm still recording, as a matter of fact. So we did record the whole thing. So you can watch it later. You get to hear me talk all over again. Lucky you, man. Lucky you. Yeah. All right. Did we do it? Did we ask all the questions? Thanks, guys, so much for logging on. I think I'm going to stop recording, stop sharing, and log off. You know where to find us, clubnexusvolleyball@gmail.com. Feel free to send me a text, follow us on social media. We are so excited about this season, and you guys are the best. I was doing a juice cleanse. You're gonna make fun of me. I thought I looked all healthy and cool drinking my green juice, but yeah, it's delicious. Watermelon, spinach, lemon, apple. It's absolutely delicious. So yeah, thanks for teasing me. I appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna log off. Thanks so much, everybody. We hope to see you really soon. Bye-bye.